Hello, viewers. Welcome, everyone. Today, let's learn about the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense shows that an action began in the past, means it will show past reference, and continued until another past event or time also. Then this will be past perfect continuous tense. This is the situation. Here you will find a subject, then use of had been, then ing form of the verb, which is also called past participle, and then use of since or for. I want to tell you that since is used for the point of time, I should say particular time also, and for is used for the period of time. For better understanding, let's go back to the present perfect continuous tense for a small comparison. In the present perfect continuous tense, what did we do? We used has been or have been. And resting. Has been is used for singular purpose, and have been is used for plural purposes. The past tense of has been is had been, and the past tense of have been is also had been. This is the basic difference between present perfect continuous tense and past perfect continuous tense. Now, look at these sentences. This side I have used since, and this side for. I had been living here since my birth. We had been living here since our birth. You had been living here since your birth. They had been living here since their birth. Here, he had been living here for the last 30 years. So this is the period of the last 30 years. That's why for. She had been living here for the last 30 years. It had been living here for the last 30 years. It's related to animal or lifeless things. This boy had been living here for the last 30 years. This is the pattern of making sentences in the past perfect continuous tense. This is just for practice. The operative verb is live and the place is Bangalore. Here, look at it. I, we, you, they, and plural subjects or subject. What will happen in this situation? So we have to take the subject from here, use subject. From here we may take. And then for positive sentences, we shall use had been. For negative sentences, we shall be using hadn't been. Then ing form of the verb plus use of since or for plus object, the leftover part of the sentence. So here, let's go for making a few sentences. I will take I, subject. So the subject is here. Then I'll go to had been, and then using form, and then since or for according to the need or situation. Look at the sentences. I had been living in Bangalore since birth. Since birth. Since. Negative, I hadn't been living in Bangalore since birth. Hadn't been. Positive and negative. Suppose I have to frame a sentence with for, using the same. I would say, I had been living in Bangalore for the last 30 years. I'm using for. I hadn't been living in Bangalore for the last 30 years. In this way, you may frame other sentences also. You may take, we had been living in Bangalore since birth. We hadn't been living in Bangalore since birth. Let's go for it. We had been living in Bangalore for the last 30 years. We hadn't been living in Bangalore for the last 30 years. In the same way, you may try with the you, they, and some plural subject or subjects like children, teachers, parents, like that, and frame the sentences. Look at here. He, she, it, and singular subject. With this, again, subject will definitely be there. Then use of had been for the positive sentences or sentence, and then hadn't been for the negative sentence or sentences, plus ing form of the verb, plus since or for, and then object as usual. Look at here. I'm framing one. He had been living in Bangalore since birth. Negative. He hadn't been living in Bangalore since birth. Now, I'll make use of for. He had been living in Bangalore for the last 10 years, or 6 years, or 30 years. He hadn't been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years, for the last 10 years, or 30 years, whatever the period is. So this is the pattern of framing sentences. You may try similarly with she, it, and then singular subject, maybe the Rajat, maybe Madhuri, etc. Here, I will tell you to frame sentences in 4 ways: positive, negative, interrogative, and interrogative negative. Look at here. Here, there is a use of since and then here for. I had been living in Bangalore since birth. Negative. I hadn't been or I had not been living in Bangalore since birth. Had I been living in Bangalore since birth? Had I not been living in Bangalore since birth? So this is positive, this is negative, this is interrogative, this is interrogative negative. Let's see the use of for. I had been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years. This is the period of 6 years. That's why for. Negative. I had not been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years. Had I been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years? Interrogative. And then interrogative negative means, question mark will also be there and negation will also be there. Had I not been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years? Look at here, negation and then question mark, both. That's why we call it interrogative negative. Now look at this chart: positive, negative, interrogative, and interrogative negative. Here I'm using he, singular. He had been living in Bangalore since birth. He hadn't been living in Bangalore since birth. Here there is a negative use. Then interrogative and then interrogative negative. Had he been living in Bangalore since birth? Had he not been living in Bangalore since birth? Now look at the same sentences with for. He had been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years. So 6 years will be the period of time. So we are using for. He had not been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years. Had he been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years? Had he not been living in Bangalore for the last 6 years? So this is the use in past perfect continuous tense. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Thank you, dear friends. If this video is beneficial to you, please do like, share, and subscribe it. So I have come to an end of the present and past tense. Next will be future indefinite, then future continuous, and then future continuous, and then future perfect, and then future perfect continuous tense. Thank you very much for your support, for your wonderful company. Thank you, dear friends.